My stepdaughter with autism requested to call me mom, and I were overjoyed. But after that, her biological mother became enraged. The older sister made contact with the desire to reconnect with each other, all well. So I 34F last month. I wed the man of my dreams. 44M, and his daughter is 16 years old. Since his previous union, I've been in here, she's been in my life for 4 years, and I've made an effort to attend for her as a reliable friend. Grown up, and she's a fantastic child, I felt more connected to her than I ever one of my sisters. And I noticed how she appeared up to me and put greater faith in me. The fact that she has autism is essential. Spectrum, I promise that's pertinent to my spouse. And I took a honeymoon trip for 2 weeks, after which we returned on Friday. My stepdaughter approached me and requested a conversation, and she claimed that nobody had ever been as thoughtful while I was learning how to prepare meals the way she liked them, or as forbearing with her inadequate emotional control in her remarks. I believe she informed me that she was doing well, was her favorite person in her overall life. Therefore, she wanted to know whether she could call. This threw me off guard, Mom. Guard and I took a brief break to analyze it, and she became ashamed and said it was foolish, and she was sorry. But I assured her that it wasn't silly, because it would please me if she became ecstatic. And they hugged me. I felt so beautiful after discussing it with my spouse, and it abruptly sank. And I had evolved into I stopped and spoke to someone's mother. I'm the mother of someone. And he inquired if I thought I was in the labor and delivery room. I chuckled at that, but I started to feel I became so overcome with emotion that I started crying. She went down the stairs this morning and said to me, "Hey, Mom, this is going to require some acclimatization." But holy, it was a fantastic feeling that I still don't, I think I'm worthy of the titles. But I'll be damned if I don't try my darn finest. So it appears that I received a husband and daughter are also rather nice deal, if you ask me. Remarks with a smile. Bookish Triop was acquiring the skills necessary to her favorite cuisine prepared by her daughter. That sentence stood out to me. Believes the daughter to be the queen's queen, notwithstanding the daughter's insecurity regarding her actions. Consider how confident she will feel, and how the daughter feels this brings validation. I was ecstatic the first time I prepared food for everyone among us in the first month or two. I prepared pasta, and I knew her. Split the pasta in two, and uttered her mouth went dry from the broken piece. Then expressed her regret to me and made her own sandwich. But I informed her that it was all right. I could prepare another batch, which I eventually discovered to be the case. As I left, she sobbed on the road because she believed she had ruined and disrespected me. Her dad's particular relationship with her eating preferences, yes, but only slightly initially odd. But hey, I'm sure we've each request from a waiter or waitress anything extremely precise at least once during our live grin. The ex-wife of my spouse was my stepdaughter, called me mom in a rage. March 18th, 2024. So I just finished write-up discussing how my stepdaughter requested to be called mom, which made me very content that my spouse had 2 kids from his prior union, a 16-year-old, 26-year-old daughter with autism, and daughter after his ex-wife, and they got separated, argued for the elder person's custody. It sounds like her kid did it because she was less laborious and more independent, and he was given the youngest one because of his younger daughter was usually a little bit. Mom doesn't love her, and she doesn't attend, went above and beyond to speak with her so that her eldest daughter secured employment at the last domain that she has been battling for several years, and she requested dinner. She appears like a decent girl with a family, based on my interactions with her throughout the years, but her mother seems hostile and passive. The rudeness that we all experienced at the eatery and took a seat, it was rather pleasant. Civil, I was seated close to my foot daughter, who was rather overpowered by the fact that she hadn't been to the eatery previously and were unaware deciding what to get. So we were examining I indicated a pasta on the menu. Something resembles what we produce. Thank you for anything she liked at home. Mom, she stated that loudly enough. Her mother, by birth, was informed because she genuinely put an end to everything and inquired, "What just happened?" My spouse and I. But she was extremely upset by it, and in fact asked as to why she did it. Her age attempted to defuse the circumstance. The daughter intervened, inquiring as to whether she may inform her mother about her new employment, and it ultimately caused her to move on. My stepdaughter remained silent about the remainder of the night, but while traveling home, her attempt at an apology for spoiling the night, to which we informed her that she didn't then, as if that weren't awful enough. She and my spouse was given 4 paragraphs, lengthy note, discussing how it was that egregious and insulting. She described another woman as her mother, was deeply troubled by it. My spouse only feeling unbelieving and terrible, for he went to speak with our daughter, and she was silent. But it was obvious that she believes that she is solely to blame for this. I should have talked about how she should mention me at the meal, using my husband before talking to her about it previously. I detested that she is unhappy with the woman, and I can see. Thank you. Why did my spouse divorce her? For reading the insightful remarks. Buyer, 4,625 details. Who did the ex spend time with? Her daughter with autism at all? If not, I'm not sure why she would be taken aback. Caesar with family, and on holidays, parties. That is the extent of it. That respect is her mother's due. Only for the current 10 trees that I'm aware of, I was called mom, albeit it's not the same. At work, LOL. I'm not a parent, but I seem to radiate motherhood. Hopefully not negatively. The ex-wife is a natural person. Piece of work that you kindly accepted. Caring for a child with special needs is no tiny meal, and you are worthy of the title Mom Up, which I most definitely don't. Compassion for a woman requesting to be, while not attempting to call mom, be your mother, or a man who keeps calling. I simply want to add, Dad, that she is a child with exceptional needs in theory, but she has been looking and is quite capable. Should submit a resume for a job after school and has began considering attending college, and she does have trouble controlling their emotions and has very particular tastes, and she doesn't vary from the others in any way. Of a grin, an exciting journey that, if her mother behaved like a mother, poor girl, then it never would have occurred to her. Behaviors or absence of repercussions. I'm not indeed. If she sees a therapist, it could assist in clarifying things so she understands. And according to one expert, the largest something that would worry me right now if her mother is always mailing her stuff or making her feel wrong about further matters. Fortunately, she has a therapist that she meetings once a week, I believe, with my husband's. The ex-wife is scheduled to appear tomorrow. Emiraz awoke details the duration since the Biome's mother passed away when she was 16. How much time does the daughter's custody she spent raising her, and how did they? She would need some bravery to be linked. Displeased that she is not raising a child, you tend to phone your mother a lot. Continue being a very kind parent to her. Since first grade, throughout the summer, and awkwardly during family get-togethers, inquiring about their progress since the last over Thanksgiving, my spouse was granted custody of the youngster with autism and discovered how to prepare meals just the way she required for them to pick up her language, as he refers to it, and takes a seat in Ray's. a still using just one hand. A growing child and his former spouse acquired the high school student's custody, who could be left alone to take care of herself at home meals, to allow her to work independently on him without needing to be concerned about, does anyone have any updates from last week? Wrote a piece detailing how my partner and I, stepdaughter, 16, with autism, went to supper with his former spouse and their 26-year-old oldest daughter to honor her being pursued by her for a job my adult life, followed by my stepdaughter, once called me mom at her former workplace. They became enraged and cleared the table. To illustrate a point, and the remaining it wasn't a good evening. And then when we arrived home, my spouse and stepdaughter received a lengthy text from her remarks regarding how impolite that was. So the day following the event, that my stepdaughter approached me and informed me her elder sister messaged her to inquire if she was able to read aloud the text, that I had just nodded and spoke with conviction. But on the back of my eyeballs rolled within like Jesus Christ, let's proceed. Nevertheless, her sister sent her a kind and considerate message stating she regretted what had transpired that evening previously and apologized to the two of them, haven't spoken with each other recently, and inquired if she would like to attempt to become a sister once again, after which she claimed to have questioned her about what films that she has recently seen, and films are her area of expertise. So that was significant. I won't lie, she asked, but I was caught, shocked by how genuine and sweet she was. It was so charming. And later that day, I received an SMS from her elder sister, who, I figured, obtained my phone number younger stepdaughter, expressing her desire to learn more about me, since I am the woman who used to be her stepmother. Mama, your baby sister is calling. So she indeed. I desired to make an effort to get to know. She added that she also mentioned each other was unable to attend her sister's 16 years old with her, and I thought that was a significant matter and inquired if the three of us could go out to eat and watch a movie. The three of us walked outside tonight and observed we watched a movie and had dinner alone. My younger stepson chose the film, and she cherished it. But my older, I didn't understand my stepdaughter. But everything, it's essential that she enjoyed it back then. We sat down to supper together and had a great time before leaving. My younger stepson asked whether she might sprint into the shop adjacent to the restaurant to purchase anything inside and out quickly. So we agreed that was fine. She was in my older sister's store. My stepdaughter expressed her desire for me to realize she mistook my appearance for at the supper. The two of us converse the other evening, and I'm going tonight guide her through the menu to locate things she would like me to support when their mother became agitated, and how she seems comfortable speaking, surrounding her, and that she entirely recognizes that I'm her mom now. Overall, it was a wonderful evening. Following when I got home, I noticed she texted me about something we discussed, so it appears we're going to continue our conversation immediately. A few issues to resolve with her biological mother, but let's consider this a triumph. In any case, I assumed I'd give a good thought, as there is a great deal of hate on Reddit and with my present circumstances. Therefore, I thought I'd share. That is a good update. Kind remarks. Lintho. Oh, I saw the most recent post at the time. I'm overjoyed with this development. How content your daughter is being backed by your elder sister. And the family has expanded a little bit. Greetings and appreciation for the healthful update. Yes, it brought me much joy. To find they were conversing once more, I departed. This is in the article, but I recall a few months prior, My younger stepson was attempting to inform her sister of a film she viewed that she found very meaningful, in the way her elder sister was acting sardonic emphasis and a sly attitude towards it to retrieve her goat. And she genuinely began. So I think it's fantastic that they're getting along with the bear. This is adorable. A charming tale about my mother abandoning me when I was 12, gone to my dad and stepmother to flee to Spain with a man I've known my stepmother since I was 4. And I recall that we both tried to be silent when I asked her about calling her mother. I want to thank all the stepmothers who are venturing outside of their own. They're a method that makes the youngsters feel cherished. Less than 3 tink. More than you are aware of, possesses a mindset that my mom's dad does our stepfather and our second husband. They separated while my sister and I were in our, however, we have determined that our father will remain our father, having met us when we were 6, 4, and we have cohabitated with he's been with us since we were 8 and 6. More time with our father than with us Bofa has been in constant communication with us. We were given the raw deal. Sadly, with our biological parents acting as both of them have a substantial mental disease and enjoy using us as props in their strange, nasty games. But our Father opted to be there for us each day and loves us without conditions. The world occasionally bestows upon us extraordinary folks. It's beneficial to give them credit for the titles they have. Won the smiles of parents, now moving on to the following tale. Story 2. Narrative 2, regarding my distant GF secret spouse. However, she questioned my length of time as a Turner. She was married and had a child the entire time. Thus, I assisted her husband in getting divorced. I went on a dating around 4 years before our relationship. I used to flick through Tinder-like apps frequently, generally to look for someone I could talk to on my phone, occasionally someone, but it never truly turned out to be quite a while after I saw, looking at my girlfriend's profile. I assumed she was gorgeous, and her bio drew my interest. Too, I was immediately sure that I wanted to. I swiped right to speak with her, and we matched. I fired off a message, her partly not even anticipating that she would. To my amazement, she sent me a message, returning in less than an hour, and the two of we are only at the early stages of our talks. I was becoming overly optimistic. As a little child, she was a stunning girl, and we appeared to get along after exchanging a. She informed me a short while ago that she was just spending a week in the city on business. I was disappointed because I believed she was pretty great, and hearing that was not very pleasant that our efforts would ultimately be in vain. Connection, which she expressed her desire for to see me during her visit. So we became engrossed together in her hotel room. Up was just as incredible as I had imagined. I gave her my number, since I knew it would be informed her that we ought to stay in contact. Didn't anticipate that we would at the moment begin a connection that is distance-based, but that's what happened when she developed. Even though we didn't receive to frequently see each other, I was really content with the fact that she was my girlfriend. She had an extremely demanding work schedule, although our vacation never appeared to coincide. I must admit that I was oblivious to my need for her. Therefore, there were numerous items that I overlooked and should have noticed. When we first started dating, for instance, the first time as I went to her residence, I saw there were 2 items inside. Bathrooms with toothbrushes, which was a somewhat peculiar, given that she was raised by herself. In addition, there was an additional shaving cream with a manly fragrance underneath. I also asked her about the sink, brush, and she recently informed me that it was an ancient one that she hadn't discarded. Away, I thought I didn't indeed have any justification for considering it further. I with her for the remainder of the weekend and returned home feeling more content, more than before. I did like her, and I wanted to live with her after observing a future in which I would always bring up the topic. She would inform me, "That is our relationship. It came too soon." I had inquired about it the first time around, a year after our second visit. 3 years together and 3 years separately is not a brief period. Felt as though it was the next phase of our living together in a relationship, been far away the entire time. As I was holding out for moving in with, in the end, I simply chose to relocate. Even if we weren't able to be closer to her coexist, we could at least be able to live in. When I informed her that I was in the same city, she moved as though it was some sort of surprise and advised me not to have taken similar action on her behalf. I was a little startled by her response, figured that having me would make her happy even though I was living. I was closer to her, I was so near her, but I could only see her. Occasionally, I realized that she was occupied, but I also didn't quite understand why it was not possible for us to spend nights together, in each other's apartments together. Following a couple of months of proximity, something began to dawn on me that there could have been another issue. I'd read bizarre, fantastical stories concerning those who led double lives and continued dealing with families in several states, etc. I was unwilling to. I think that might have been the situation there, but my thoughts began to wander. I discovered the truth entirely as a result of a crude joke I told my girlfriend, and I were going out to eat. When we were enjoying herself, I questioned her if she desired to return to her home following our when she was done eating, and she responded, "No," I joked, pointing out that she didn't desire for me to be present. Because of her spouse, and kids, she became immensely silent for a while, before placing her meal, as if she was in shock at what I then she questioned, "How long have you?" Knowing, I chuckled briefly as I considered. She was retorting some corny joke. After a few moments at me, I asked, realizing she was serious, requested more clarification, and she gave. She wasn't thrilled to accomplish anything, but I felt relieved that everything was at last, in that she informed me that she did in fact open possess a husband and an unborn son, in addition to her mother-in-law. So any time her spouse desired to bring their son to whenever I saw her, she would reach out to me, was the chance she needed to be with. When she told me, everything made sense. She didn't want me to move because of me, much less move and live with her in her city. That explained why she was only occasionally accessible to see me immediately. I stated, telling her that I disapproved of who she was, and I informed her that I was finished. I also implied to her that I was intending to share with her hubby. She wished me luck on everything. When I did, we both left the restaurant, returned home to attempt to look to learn more about who her husband was. I saw that she had given me a false name for the duration of our relationship. She was acting as though she was someone that she wasn't. Instead, she had a whole affair, utilizing a phony and all that. And I never observed that I finally quit attempting to discover her true identity. I hadn't even gave it several months of thinking. My friend from home texted me from one day. The blue displayed a screenshot of my former girlfriend was on my Tinder profile. There was another name connected to it. The age was, and the account was distinct from the person I knew her to be, as indeed, the images in the bio were precisely the same place where my friend identified her. I showed him the photos and asked me whether we were still dating or whether we had split up. He believed that she might have been attempting to deceive me, so he desired to ensure that everything was in order. I phoned him immediately and gave an explanation everything, and he was just as surprised by learn about it. Since I was interested in that, we developed a rudimentary scheme to attempt to capture her. He ultimately matched with her, and they struck up a conversation, somewhat humorous, but I eventually told him many of the things I knew to say would apply to her. She made the same, something she wanted me to tell him, that her time in the city was limited to length of time, and requested a meeting with all my pal had to do for me was forward me the Tinder screenshots, profile, and perhaps take a close look at when she didn't look at the previous portion was going to be challenging. Waited amiably for updates regarding what occurred almost 2 hours into the day I was scheduled to have my buddy texted me a picture of her ID. I am aware that privacy is a significant concern. Although I had no intention of doing anything with other from looking up her husband, I had her actual address, name, and all the details I required to locate her, looked for her on the internet, and lo and behold, discovered she had a genuine real estate company alongside her spouse. They were well-known members of both of them even functioned as a community chairs inside the homeowners association. She was going to lose a great deal, and I take everything from her. I was aware of my several days before her scheduled returning to the city, so I made contact as soon as I could to her spouse, try to get together with him. I had no idea what to say, so I messaged him, and everything about it was kind of astonishing. And I thought he would hear everything I had to say. To say that, happily, I had some proof, something I could affix to our exchanges of text messages, in addition to her Tinder profile, along with a few images. Over the years, I had switched. It took hours, but in the end, he replied and consented to meet me. We had our meeting at the following morning at a coffee shop, and he appeared to want to rip my head off, away from my body. I told him that I did not know of him or his family. Think, he gave me faith after a few minutes. He acknowledged even that there were a few indications that she was involved in an affair, that he overlooks things for his benefit. Family, considering how far she has come, went. I believe she demonstrated her utterly unreliable. That was most likely what truly made him realize I informed him that he was worthy of more than. It is evident that she was a monster. For what? After she was done, I had trouble understanding about how self-centered her behavior was. I did everything in my power to assist him. Should he choose to go for I even told him in our divorce that if he wanted a conversation partner regarding surprised that I was there, and judging him genuinely accepted my offer. And we talked about it for a long time, as he was going through a divorce. At the time, everything they experienced it was evident that there were other guys. In some way, she had an affair with it. For her to get away from her obligations of parenthood and her enterprise devoid of regrettable outcome at the moment, it all backfired on her after their divorce. Their combined business failed. Nonetheless, the spouse managed to proceed. Representing numerous individuals from everyone in the area was aware of what occurred, and she experienced exclusion from most of the group she ultimately joined, relocating to a studio apartment, and holds a position at another ENT level business in a separate county.